Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the third week of the ECAC Overwatch. We have some great matches in store tonight. I'm joined by my fellow caster, Al, and our observer, Beldia. How are you doing, and how are you feeling about these?
I'm doing pretty good. I am excited to see this match. I think we're on our third week. We had some technical difficulties in the last one, so we didn't get to see last
Very
week.
true.
But this week we're coming in with two teams. On the left in blue, we have MSOE Raiders from Milwaukee School of Engineering out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And on red team, we have the CSI Dolphins from College of Staten Island, New York, out of Staten Island, New York. And we've seen CSI before, but I don't think we've actually ever seen the Raiders yet. So they're bringing a new roster here for us to observe.
A new roster and Torbjorn. Corgi coming out with that Torb. Gonna be fighting in this room. Does fall, unfortunately, to Cammy on that hazard. Point's gonna unlock in a few seconds. A boop comes through onto Aiden. Getting pushed off the map by Rip there. Finding a kill onto Schlongs too. CSI will take care of this first point. Gonna start capping now. Finding just a few more kills on the back end now.
Yeah, they did a decent job at the start of that, being able to take that on. I don't know how much the Torbjorn is contributing here for the Raiders, but we're gonna have to see what it can work. I mean, it's definitely an interesting pick. We're also seeing the Ramatra pick, which hasn't been too common this season or last season, to be honest. We do see Cammy, the other tank, though, for CSI on the Hazard, which I believe is the popular and meta pick at the moment.
Yeah, definitely right now, Hazard 1v to be pretty frequent. Cammy falling pretty low there. So with that Kitsune rush on the side of CSI, they will push in. Unfortunately, Shattered Axe also uses the Raiders Kitsune rush on the back end. No one died though. Could have been a good ult. The Rip using that Lucio ult for the side of CSI. Cammy critically low, will fall to the Annihilate. Aiden finding the opposing Lucio as Raiders will push onto this point now.
Yeah, we saw Milwaukee here push in off the back of that Annihilation, just having that block up the entire time, just letting the duration tick down and really spread out the CSI Dolphins. Definitely let them get some good picks in. We also saw some really nice headshots and damage from Shattered Axe on the Kiriko, getting some nice headshots on the supports. So I think that's part of the reason why they won that as well. But
okay, we have some ults coming down now. That Molten Core beat drop is going to keep the team of Raiders alive. Chongyun did use that Dragon Blade, was unable to find anything. We see CSI up in this fight, but unable to swing the point back as of right now. Corgi finds Cammy. Nave will find Bioactive, and it seems as if the Raiders will withstand the storm.
yeah, we're gonna see
And
Cammy
Cammy's gonna swap
swapping
that Mauga.
to the Mauga. Yeah,
Wow.
maybe just for that more damage, higher output. You know, I think that Hazard works well in the 1v1 when both your teams are playing dive, but honestly, I think playing dive into that Torbjorn is just a little rough.
It very well could be, and that could be the reason that Court favoring now. Definitely doing some good work on it. Kitsune Rush from Shattered Axe and Bioactive was used that. But Raiders will win and now are up in the match, nearing that 90%.
Yeah, there's
Where
gonna be
CSI
Dolphins.
got stopped at 66.
Dolphins probably last attempt at pushing this. We're gonna see them have to really commit everything they have. We see a lot of ults start getting popped. Ult beats.
Yeah, both beats that Annihilate from Nave now coming out. Gonna be a really strong ultimate for this last contest here. Finding Cammy and Chongyun, the Raiders will swing the point and take the round
I'm
off
pretty
of
surprised
CSI there.
because I'm really not sure what went entirely wrong for CSI there. I mean, they were doing a decent job on the start of that, having decent control, but it seemed like MSO had a decent just push with their ultimates, and then from there, it just seemed like they had the ultimate economy and the picks every fight at the start. So I do think that was just kind of maybe a swap in the way they were playing and their positioning is what favored MSOE here.
Firepower's good, but superior brain power's better.
You're gonna
Yeah, I
see CSI
completely
swap-
agree.
So I was gonna say they
Good.
swapping over to that Juno probably for just the increased healing off the Kiriko. There isn't too much to cleanse, and that's gonna allow you to put a lot more pressure on Cammy and maybe do a better job of keeping them up. Right now, Cammy's falling low. Able to use that overdrive, but falling to Corgi. Seeing them just fight to take this point, but it's going to be a quick fall for CSI when they don't have their tank, but Phobic's going to find a pick on the Shattered Axe. Down a support for Raiders. Finds Phobic. That's going to be the point for the Raiders. As we see CSI Dolphins just falling back here. They get back really quick though as we see Cammy sprint on point and find two. Get back up really quick and get those picks. Just cleaning up the rest of the Raiders. However, does have his support to keep Navi alive. Launch will find Phobic as Cammy does find Nave. Possibly a boop here.
Alright. Sorry about that, we're back in here. I had some quick technical difficulties there. We do see this Kitsune rush from Shattered Axe now coming down, but CSI fighting into it pretty hard as Raiders backed off, and now we're going to take the fight back. Still contested, Raiders now swinging the point their way.
Yeah, it took a little bit. Right now the point has just been bouncing back and forth, but we also see Nave on the Junker Queen now, which I feel like just might get shredded by the Mauga, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Oh. Yeah, with that Mauga cage fight coming down, Rip SR saving that beat drop just for the right time, finding the pick on a Knave and Shattered Axe with one boop. Great value, Rip SR. Huge play from the Lucio on the side of CSI.
Yeah, absolutely insane beat, followed up with some picks. Very exciting to see from Rip. And, I mean, their best hope now is just save their ults and build it up, be able to answer to what MSOE has to respond. We're going to see both overclocks coming out soon here, probably in this next fight. So I think it's just going to come down to which DPS is going to be able to do the most. There they go.
Both Sojourn ults. Overclocks coming out from either. Cammy will find Schlongs, but does fall to Knave then. Raiders are down a DPS while CSI is down a tank. Raiders now pushing on to the point. Corgi will fall. Having a hard time securing these picks onto CSI. Now finally finding some. The tank is back though. But with a Rampage and a Kitsune rush from Raiders. It's looking like it might seal the deal.
It's looking tough though, because we are seeing CSI come back just in the nick of time, but looks like, yeah, they're going to let the point go back to Raiders. That is going to put it to 99. They have to be able to take this back though, if they want a chance at winning this map. We do have Bioactive getting on that orbital ray, which is very good because Shattered Axe did have to commit the Kitsune rush early, which is going to leave Raiders down this portal in this fight.
See that orbital ray coming down from Bioactive, giving everyone on the team of CSI a mini nano boost. Gonna be shredding through that Malga pick from Cammy, herring through the side of the Raiders. We'll cap,
Definitely.
and that 99 will tick over to that 100, tying us up at 1-1.
Not fast enough for the contest. Maybe you should have gone around the cliff, but we are going to be able to see this next map, though, I believe on Control Center. Which, I
Yeah.
mean, it's really going to come down to it. I think Corgi might do a little bit better here on this map.
Mhm.
If they're staying on the Torbjorn with these close angles, that right click is just going to do so much work. We're also seeing the Venture swap from Changyun. It's pretty
Possibly
interesting to
so.
see.
You were saying the on the first map after the first round, before I had the technical difficulties, why the Torb and how they were doing pretty good once the Raiders started winning. And I think it is off the back of that Torb. Once they have that set up, it's a lot harder to disrupt that side of Raiders, at least without taking care of that turret first. But CSI swapped to that Malga to just push a little bit more, and it's did a little bit more last round. We're gonna see if it can this round with the fight cracking off. A couple picks already into this fight. Cammy does fall to Schlonks though. And being down a tank as well as the rest of their other members of their team,
Yeah,
Raiders will start capping the point.
Raiders is a really interesting team to see. I mean, like I said, this is a new roster. We haven't seen these guys before, and they're really playing. I mean, I'm going to say they're playing pretty off meta. We see CSI running the pretty standard DPS and tank and support and everything. But I did not think I would see a Moira, a Torbjorn, and a Junker Queen on the same team tonight. But here we are.
Not at all.
They're doing good with it, as Corgi right there just absolutely shreds the Malga. I think that's just
we
gonna
don't
be a
see it
lot by
often.
Dolphins.
But I mean, they're just making it work. You can tell that they've practiced with this comp. It's nothing that they're trying for the first time tonight. Definitely doing good. Nave finding that pick on the Phobic. Nice tracking. Catching Phobic after that slide. Fight on point. Changyun will fall on the ledge outside.
Yeah,
Cammy is taking the fight.
Moira's going to do a good job against that Genji, which is a good point. But you're going to see the point finally swap in favor of Dolphins. And I do think now it might be a little bit harder for them to come back with the Torbjorn being on the attack now instead of the defense, like you mentioned.
Yeah, very well could be in that. That might make us see a Torb swap. But Corgi does have that Molten Core. I'm sure we're going to see the ult at least come out from Torbjorn. Satellite or Orbital Ray comes down from Bioactive. Raiders are choosing to ult into this fight now. Pushing back with the Coalescence and the Molten Core. But unable to find anything. Really just pushes back the Raiders.
I think that Sojourn and the Genji's just doing a really good job. We see the dive come out. It's going to be answered by a beat, but Changyun's still going to find one on the Schlonks.
Yeah, maybe just a second too late on that beat from Aiden.
Yeah, just a little out of sight. However, they did commit two, almost, I want to say 3 ults to that. I'm not sure. I didn't see the Orbital Ray come out, but it's still off cooldown. So that's only going to leave it's overclocking out, but
yeah, CSI just gonna use that overclock, find a few picks off the back of that, but unable to get out as Shattered Axe, the Moira, finds 3.
Moira.
More than half the team now gone just to 1 player on Raiders. Gonna see if they can capitalize off this. But with Cammy falling, I'm sure they can. Stopping CSI at 95%.
I think we saw Dolphins just get a little too overzealous, and that really opened up a chance for Raiders to push through. And once they did, it left the Dolphins really separated, the supports around the corner from the rest of the team, and just all around separated. And I think that's what allowed Raiders to get those picks. And I do think they're going to have a much easier time with this Torb turret now on the defense. Although Changyun finds it early. What do you want to see?
We see Schlong's popping that overclock, seeing the targeting priority, unable to find some of the squishies, decides to throw some shots into the tank, will end up killing that tank. And now with Raiders being at 90% and getting team wiped like this, I'm not sure there's a chance for CSI to contest this.
Yeah, no, we're seeing Corgi commit this ult.
Laying down the
However-
red carpet for Cammy to walk through.
Cammy's just trying to push the point, but I mean, just like their idol, Travis Kelce, they're going to be taking the loss on that map.
I guess, yeah. Taking a loss. Really great play. We can see Rip SR with this couple picks here. I believe this was the one that we were commenting on. The beautiful beat drop with the double kill. Swinging the fight in their favor.
Playing that Lucio, running the Cattier skin just like they wore Cattiers in a LAN event. Doing pretty good job, but not enough to take that last map. And I do think it was just all in favor of that Torbjorn. As soon as they are able to make the swap, and I think on the attack, they weren't super strong. It was just that CSI would get a little overconfident or push up a little more and just kind of break off just a little bit, really giving Raiders just a little bit of an opening, which allowed them to push in, take the point, and from there it's just so much easier of a defense for the Raiders. We did see, I mean, that Moira swap, I was a little questioning it, but we did see the power of it, being able to just play that offense, play the damage, especially against the Genji, that heavy counter for that.
I completely agree. I mean, we saw through everything there. The highs, the lows. Corgi on that Torbjorn. Just setting up that turret, laying down some suppressing fire, getting that ult when needed. Really just being a pretty big distraction, if anything, to the Dolphins. Getting some great picks, too, when the time needed. We're going to see if they can carry on, if we're going to see the Torbjorn again in this next map. I think the teams are just figuring out where they're going to be going.
Yeah, I believe we're going to hybrid. The typical map pick, I believe, is almost usually King's Row.
Yeah, I see that King's Row more likely than not, more often than not.
And I mean, I feel like I'm open to surprises, but honestly, I think we might see, I believe it was Corgi on that Torbjorn again for defense. Just I think that King's Row already is a map that's so defender sided that first point. If the team can position well, if you can have your supports just go unbothered up in the top. I mean, I'll just take back what I said. We're going to Midtown. This is a Caster's curse, I guess,
Yeah,
but
there we go.
we haven't seen much Midtown. I mean, there is
And
that
just like
first
that.
point is a pretty major choke, followed by the that slight tunnel you can go through above. But I do think that I believe MSO is on the attack, they're on the defense, which is, from what we've seen, going to be in favor of them. Dolphins does have a decent attack as well, but I mean, we haven't seen it pair too well into the Raiders yet. So I think it'll just come down to who they're picking and what we can expect from it.
Absolutely, and like you were commenting on Midtown, this first point choke is definitely one of the stronger ones in the game, I would say. Can be very hard to break through or take some space.
Whoa.
I think, yeah, we're seeing the Mercy pick from Aiden here. Definitely not your everyday pick. At least at the collegiate level here. Yeah, all right, there we go. Just a little bit of a bait. All right, Aiden, you got us. You got us. Got me at least.
Yeah. I mean, I would usually I imagine that's a joke, but with this team, I really don't know what to expect.
Yeah, definitely surprised us on that first map. I was expecting to see something a little crazier, but I guess the Torb is pretty crazy enough, you know? Definitely not your everyday pick.
Yeah, we're seeing CSI run the pretty standard attack type comp with the hazard, pretty default, same comp as last time. And I mean, already we see them basically through this choke.
I think the Raiders are playing this a little too far back. But if I were CSI, what I'd want to do is just immediately get the point, get as many members as I can to the point, and try to just start turning heads, getting our picks, securing kills onto the members of Raiders. But we see the members of CSI falling critically low, and they do end up falling. A couple picks for Nave there. Really great holds from the Raiders.
Pretty good cleanup from Milwaukee there. I mean, when you're playing dive, your whole team needs to dive. If one or two members are just left out to expose, they will get capitalized on it. But we're seeing that quick swap to Mauga and coming back to point before all of Raiders can. We already see them capping this, and I think it's going to be a hard take for Raiders here. We'll see if they can even attempt it.
They're giving up a little too much space. Corgi does fall. Gonna be trying to find a few more picks. Had to get off the point right now. Belongs and Nave doing what they do, finding the picks.
Yeah, those are some really
running
nice
off
builds,
CSI.
which is actually gonna, yeah, like you said, make them back off, which I'm pretty surprised about. I'm not sure how they were able to get Cammy that low with both supports up. Maybe the team was just playing too far back behind. We saw Bioactive trying to hit Chungyun, maybe just a little distracted. So I think it was good that Raiders were able to buy themselves some more time and hold them off, and we'll see if Dolphins are able to get their push back together.
We see the orbital ray starting to crack off this fight from Bioactive on the side of CSI. Shattered Axe starting to use theirs on the side of Raiders now, a little bit after. Paired with the beat drop. Should secure this fight for the side of the Raiders. And it does.
Yeah, I mean, we see Phobic finding Corgi, which I won't lie, might give them a slight advantage. I don't know how fast Corgi can get back, but one of the main issues is that Torb turret and that Torbjorn fighting that Mauga. So I think being able to push before Corgi gets back might be the best option for Dolphins. Looks like they're gonna get held up just a little bit.
Yeah, I believe we're gonna see both these tank ults this fight. Both of them very strong, the cage fight and the annihilate, maybe even together. Nave finding Phobic, great first pick from the side of Raiders. As CSI is now down 1 DPS.
Yeah, looks like they're just trying to force this high ground, but I'm not too sure what they're trying to get out of it. I mean, it'll be helpful, but with their team comp, I mean, they need to get on point to cap it.
Yeah, now under a minute.
Whoa.
Not gonna have much time left. We do see the annihilate in the cage fight there. Outboxing the Mauga. Not wanting to let point go. Raiders will run CSI off one more time. Potentially one last push for CSI, but
Yeah, I mean,
we're gonna
looking
have to
at
get through the
ults
Raiders
too,
front line.
it's really in favor of the Raiders, as they're gonna have this one of the best defensive ults in the game for holding this point with the Molten Core.
Oh yeah, there we go. Laying down the carpet now. Gonna make it a pain for CSI to even be on the point. Cammy finding two though. Both orbital rays come down. Tanks are boxing. Supports are boxing. Bioactive has two on the round. On the fight. Cammy finds Nave, and it looks like CSI will cap this point in overtime.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Cammy actually dive in really far. I think that's maybe fault of Milwaukee pushing up, trying to just hold that defense, not really expecting anybody to slip through, which left the backline just a little exposed, and we saw some really nice picks from Bioactive and Cammy there.
Yeah, we see CSI just taking this fight right away. Two Raiders. Gonna let that payload push with just one on it. Cammy though falling low to Corgi. Finding that pick. Phobic will find Schlongs.
CSI trying to keep that pressure up and just keep the payload moving, making space, but we see them just push a little too far, maybe forcing a 3v5, which is just going to put a stop in their push and allow Raiders to really fortify their hold, which is not what you want, especially again with this Torbjorn getting set up. It's the last thing you want if you're CSI.
You see that beat drop from Rip coming down for CSI first. Aiden being patient and saving their beat drop. Raiders staying alive a little bit longer. Both tank ults coming down. Gammy will win this one. And CSI will take that fight and keep this payload pushing. Very close to the second checkpoint.
Yeah, that's a really big cage fight from Cammy. Very good job with that, finding a lot of the members. We're seeing Nave actually switch to the Diva. Again, I mean, pretty good Malga counter, but I don't know how well it's going to do against the rest of this team.
Use that Dragon Blade from Chong Yoon. Did find Aiden. Rip with a few picks of his own. It's actually Frogger Smurf.
Whoa.
Unable to find the Ana though.
We'll get the cap though for CSI as they have 2 minutes on the clock going in third point. Definitely doing a good job of coming back from where they were and keeping this momentum going. As well as, yeah, Shatter on the Ana. Probably just to get that anti out for the Malga. Very strong ability. However, there is no Kiriko, which is going to be very, very good for the Raiders.
You do see Corgi with that molten core up and ready, coming out now. Bioactive. Use that orbital ray, giving CSI a big boost. Able to help them win this fight. Minute 15 on this clock. They're going to be very close now to the end of this point. End of this push.
Yeah, Focus going to find some 2 nice picks. We're seeing Corgi swap off the Torbjorn to the Sombra. Again, I don't really know who this is for. The Malga, I'd imagine, just to get the exposed. However, we see Dolphins just stuck in their, keeping Raiders in their spawn as they continue to find more and more picks.
Yeah, Phobic with that overclock, doing massive work as the team of CSI. They're now right at the end. The beat drop will come down from Aiden to stall out just a little bit longer, but to no avail. As Raiders will finish pushing with 20 seconds left on their bank. 23 seconds left in their
The
bank.
Dolphins pushing that one. Raiders on the defense just getting really pushed into their spawn there. Very good from CSI. I mean, we saw them definitely struggling a lot, but like we've seen in the previous map, once they get their momentum going, it's hard to stop. They definitely know what they were doing. We saw MSOE with some attempts at some swaps and counter picks to make it work, but just couldn't find the space or the picks that they needed. I mean, we saw the Diva, decent Malga counter, as well as the Ana, just doing everything they can to stop Cammy, just running them down. But I think what it comes down to is just good team coordination. We see the team fairly spread out, playing around the map. If you just have your whole team targeting the Malga, it's much easier to take care of than trying to do it by counter swapping and losing some of the utility that you have on other heroes.
Consider the railgun before you decide.
We do see a pretty standard defense from CSI here.
What'd you think?
Just running that Malga Juno Lucio with the Genji Sojourn on the DPS. The Raiders are hovering an unusual comp, but
Yeah, we don't see much Sombra. I think it could be good, assuming you're hacking the right targets. It'll be interesting to see if the Sombra's planning on playing in the backline, getting some picks on the supports, or if they're going to try and just get some more utility down on the tank to pressure up. It'll be interesting to see how Corgi plays, but as well as this Junker Queen pick, I feel like might be a hard push into the Malga. You can't, I mean, without a shield or without that large enough health pool, it's going to be hard to push through this choke. We do see Aiden taking some space on the left with Schwanks.
yeah, Raiders took the far left route all the way up. Gonna be meeting CSI head on here. With Nave on that Junker Queen, definitely gonna want to box. Shattered Axe finding some fire in the back. Cammy very low, falling to Nave. Looking like the Raiders might be able to start capping this point.
Yeah,
Nave
without a
finding
support left for
a
the
lot of
Dolphins,
picks.
it's going to be fairly easy for the Raiders to just push this. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a contest. Yeah, we see Cammy back.
Cammy gonna be trying to run the Raiders off the point there. They're gonna just got to give up space and go for the last second touch. Shattered Axe, pop that Kitsune rush. Nave, we see just finding more and more picks.
Yeah, that
As
shotgun
Raiders finish
from
capping.
Nave and as well as the axe and everything, this bleed is just really hard to keep up with, I think, for the support. It's much more dive-oriented for the Raiders here. They do pretty good on the attack. This comp that they have going, I think that they're just putting a lot of pressure and a lot of distraction on Dolphins.
We saw that orbital ray come down from Bioactive. And CSI pushes back Raiders and lets the door shut on them. We see Cammy hack, but not falling. And with Raiders finding a pick onto the DPS, to one of the DPS of CSI, looks like they're going to start a push here. Dave falling low to that Malga though. Meanwhile, Phobic finds 2 picks.
Those are good picks indeed. I mean, a support and a tank. The team does not have much left to go off of after that. Followed up by a kill on the Shalong, so that's going to be a very good stop for Raiders. And I do think that they are going to have a lot to come back with here. I mean, they have that EMP and support ults, almost all ults for the Raiders, while we're close to the same with the Dolphins. I think it'll just come down to which team can use their ultimate usage better. I think this cage fight could have a decent opportunity for blocking some stuff, but I believe it does get hard countered by EMP. However, they're going to be able to kill Cammy without any ults committed, and that's going to be way too easy for the Raiders to do. I mean, the Dolphins, you see how far they have to fall back because of that. Give up so much space, let their tank come back, and at the cost of almost nothing for the Raiders.
We saw that beat drop come down from Aiden, as well as Rip. Now the cage fight. CSI just holding on to the adults maybe just a little bit longer, and now turning the fight in their favor.
Yeah, I will
Raiders
say,
do have 2:30 left on the clock though.
I do think that a crucial mistake made by the Raiders there was we saw Corgate use the EMP in response to Changyun's Dragon Blade, but you want to save that for Ripser's beat because it gets rid of the shield, and I think without that beat, even just holding that EMP a second later, or even the cage fight and everything, it completely negates everything. I think that's part of the reason it didn't go their way, is just using that a little bit early and giving Dolphins too much utility for that fight.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Here we see Phobic popping that overclock, and trying to find some picks with it. Unable to, and now with some support ults from either side, the fight will be well underway. Nave is going to start it off with a pick onto Cammy the tank for CSI, which will snowball into the Raiders winning this fight.
Yeah, however, we do see Cammy up, and I mean, Amalga has decent survivability. I wouldn't be surprised if we try and see a contest on this.
And we do. 0.62 meters.
That's a pick on the Aidenaholic before the beat gets built.
Yeah, that's a beautiful pick.
Oh, wow.
Really great pick from the DPS of CSI
1 minute,
there.
Yeah, 1 minute left on the timer. Less than half a meter left. I mean, or half a meter left. That pick onto Aidenaholic right at the start of the fight. We saw the beat at 99% when he died. Just absolutely crazy. That definitely turned the fight in their favor. And I mean, now we're going to be going to this next one. Dolphins doesn't have any of their ults fully built yet. Probably will for this next fight, but look at this fight might be what decides whether or not Raiders takes this map or not.
Yeah, very true with it. Coming down to 30, under 30 seconds here. Chongyun's gonna pop a Dragon Blade. On the other side, we see Nave with that Rampage. Not finding near as much as Chongyun did, but will fall in the back. And potentially on the back side of this fight. Oh no, Raiders just gonna pull back.
We have to see if Raiders can touch. I mean, they have a lot to work with.
Look at that touch off with the Sombra. Beat drop came down from Aiden to help that contest. Everyone's using everything right now. This is make or break for Raiders. Schlong's finding Chongyun, but Phobic finding two of their own. The Sojourns in these fights doing so much work. What we see here, CSI will stop Raiders dead in their tracks, setting us to a series 1-1.
Great hold from CSI there. We saw some great picks at the start of the fight going both ways. I mean, I think twice in a row in the last minute there, we saw one of the supports falling on Raiders just with that beat. Very unfortunate and definitely gonna hurt the team. And I mean, we see that there as Dolphins take that map. I think they did a phenomenal job. We saw, I believe, Ripser on the, or Phobic on the Sojourn doing a phenomenal job with that overclock at the very end, getting, I believe, 3 picks. Very impressive.
Certainly was. I mean, and we see CSI coming off of that first round, off that first map, taking that defeat, really just thinking about what they have to do to the side of Raiders to pull out with these wins in these fights, making whatever changes that they needed to make to how they were playing, and just doing a fantastic job here against the Raiders now.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll
I mean,
see which team will pull out in third, though.
Yeah, off the back of a loss, we see them do a phenomenal job of coming back, as well as, I mean, that first point on the map, struggling on that attack, and then from there, just getting the breakthrough they needed, getting the right picks, making the swaps they needed, and just playing together more. And then from there, they just, I mean, they plowed through the rest of that map, bringing the current score to 1-1. Going into our third map now on Push on Runasapi. And I mean, I won't lie, I'm expecting similar comps here. I think Raiders will have some kind of interesting swap up their sleeve, but I'm expecting the pretty classic comp from CSI, the probably the Lucio, the Juno.